Hi everybody. So I'm making a video today to talk a little bit about church. Oddly enough, that's what my topic's going to be about, is church, different churches. The reason that this is sort of on my mind right now is because someone actually asked me to go to their church. They did not know my religious position. And I started thinking about, this type of church that I was invited to is kind of, I'm assuming, kind of like a non-denominational, those are the only types of Christian churches other than the Mormon church that I've ever been to, is kind of like that non-denominational Christian rock band style of real loose, people wearing jeans and that type of thing. And I'm not sure exactly if this was that type of a church or not. But I started thinking about it. I started thinking about like what it would be like for me to go and just sit there, and be polite to my friend, and and take it all in. And I just couldn't do it, because I started thinking of all the things the minister or preacher, pastor, whatever they call them, if their particular churches, would start saying, and I couldn't put myself through it. I just couldn't put myself through the mind-numbing sermon that I would have had to listen to. I also, one of the things that I started really feeling a lot of pressure about as I was thinking, as I was considering doing this, was the collection plate. Because I've always been really weirded out by collection plates, because in the Mormon church, you don't ever pass a collection plate. You put your tithing in a nice little sealed envelope, in a little box by your bishop's door. It's all very discreet. They don't ask for $1 from a non-member. I mean, it would be considered kind of shameful for them to do that. And so when I went to a Christian church, I think one of the first times I ever went with my one of my friends from high school, she gave me $1. Like, before we went in, she's like, put this in the collection plate when it comes around. And I did. And then a couple of other times I didn't have any money, because I never brought money to church. It just didn't even cross my mind. Like their dad or, somebody would put like $1 or $5 in for me. That made me feel really uncomfortable. Like I wasn't holding up my end of the deal, like, oh, she's our guest, we'll pay for her, And okay, so that got me thinking about tithing, about money that churches collect, and sorry, I got distracted. My cat's just up against outside my window and on my outside looking at me like, let me in, mommy. She'll have to wait till after I'm done. But about churches and the money that they collect, and how money is such an important part of churches. Like, for example, the Mormon church. Even though they're very discreet, you are required as a member to appreciate the full privileges of the church. You are required as a member to pay 10% of your gross income. And even as a youth, when I very first started making money babysitting, even birthday checks that I would get, I was proud and happy and more than willing to give my 10%. Actually, until the day that I left the church, I had always paid an honest, very honest tithing. But you are required, if you want to go to the temple, I'm not sure about if they actually will revoke certain callings, or if they go that far. But if you admit that you did not pay an honest tithe, it's it's kind of a big deal. And then I started thinking about like the Vatican and their huge amounts of wealth that they acquired over the centuries, mostly during when conquering empires, back in the Middle Ages. You could not get out of favor with the Pope. Otherwise, you would be excommunicated, and the idea of that was basically is kind of like being cut off from a huge institution, where even though, let's say, they didn't really even believe in God, a king didn't really, but he had to stay in favor with the Pope, because all the resources would be cut off. They would be attacked. The Vatican Empire had, had pretty strong military forces from, or they borrow military forces from other kingdoms and stuff like that. So they acquired this huge amass of wealth. And okay, so churches, they like to have their money, and I wouldn't necessarily say that they're just doing it just for money. I mean, some of the smaller churches are obviously, their heart is truly in it. There obviously have been ministers who have taken advantage of their trusting congregation and used money inappropriately. I mean, that has happened before. But the thing that really gets me, or the thing that I'm really thinking about, is just how, even if you have like the best intentions as a minister, like let's say your heart's fully in it, you're still wanting the money to have a bigger church, to build a new wing of, or a new chapel, or to promote certain things. I mean, it's always getting more and more and more, and there's a little bit of an egotistical aspect to it. Okay, so I'm thinking about like the money that Christianity sort of requires if you join their churches, and then I'm contrasting the idea to religious groups like Buddhism and things like that, because I'm most familiar with Buddhism, but I'm sure that it relates to other of the Eastern religions as well. That doesn't seem to be what they do. Doesn't seem to be as much of a money aspect in it. You're not required to pay for, and I'm sure that there are some gurus that do take advantage of that type of situation. I'm not saying that all Buddhists are wonderfully, never would take advantage of people, but it just doesn't seem to be a focus, an area of focus, and money just doesn't seem to be an issue. Whereas like fundraising and doing things to collect money to send missionaries, right? Like that's, going overseas, taking a little mini vacation to do some church work, and these things are all under the umbrella of a non-profit organization. Even though they are gaining profit, they're using it for what they consider to be church purposes. But maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just really, it frustrates me that I couldn't even picture going to this non-denominational or Christian, it might have been even a Baptist church or something like that, without having to be required to pay money. And I know that a lot of Christians would be, oh, of course you're not required to pay money. Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, you just don't understand. You just give if you have extra. You just give, and if you don't, well, you can't take, but just you shouldn't feel that way, And I was like, well, I do, and actually, I do think that you should feel that way, and that you should think about it just a little bit more. And I'm not saying that donations and collection plates are a bad thing if it works for you. I mean, if it makes you feel good inside, great. I just don't think it should be a part of church. It just seems like it's very, like, it's taking advantage of a vulnerability of people, a sensitivity, and I don't like it. And I don't like churches that just accumulate this massive amounts of wealth, because it just seems to me the wrong goal of churches. But who, I'm not the queen of the world, so it's not up to me. But I just wanted to share some of that experience with you guys, because churches and money. What's the deal with all of that? So, all right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.